2024 of the healing. Thanks so much for coming along. I'm going to show you what I'm going to try to do this month of March mostly, although it's still February. One of the things is a challenge. To make a long story short, I'm going to be stuccoing inside the cottage over the drywall. All along my plan was to use hydrated lime. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on it. But I had dropped off a load of my leftover plumbing supplies to Habitat for Humanity with the passing of Jimmy Carter a few weeks ago. I really have a heart for that organization. But anyway, while I was there, they had a pallet of Portland cement-based stucco finish coat. Now, a lot of you may not know there is a difference. They had it for $2 a bag, and I got 15 bags. Now, there's a difference between this and lime stucco. They work very differently. They end up with a different product. This tends to be a little bit rougher. It dries quick. So it's going to be a challenge. I was talking to a friend yesterday who's a mason, well, had been a rock mason and now a general contractor. And he's not done stucco per se, but I respect his knowledge. And he told me, Mike, good luck with that, doing interior stucco. So the good news is I spent $30 for 15 bags. That saves me $500 off of hydrated lime, which is $38 a bag. And that's a 50-pound bag for the slime stucco, and these are 80-pound bags. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be finished drywalling this episode. I'm working in the loft today. I think I can do the peak in the loft with a ladder. And then I need to do this section that had been wet that's now dry with fire-resistant drywall. Now, I have 3 challenges. One is the stucco I just mentioned. Can I get by with this Portland cement-based stucco? I don't know. I'm going to try. And the other one is drywalling this peak. Here's the challenge. I work by myself, and I cannot figure a way that I can get up there to do that. You know, if you put a ladder up there, it's dangerous anyway, and there's no way I can carry a sheet of drywall. I do have scaffolding, but if I put 2 layers of scaffolding to reach that area, there's no way I can climb the ladder of scaffolding with drywall, you know, when you work by yourself. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. I was excited yesterday. I didn't get any work on the cottage, but I hike with a group on Mondays. Wonderful conversation with just mind-blowing people with their stories, their lives, and spending time with them. But yesterday, I say, was the hardest hike I've done. We did 5.5 miles, but it was mountainous, up and down, hard terrain. I came home absolutely exhausted. and got very little done for the rest of the day. And I hurt from top to bottom after that. But I remember the first time I went out with them, probably 3 years ago, when I was just starting to do a little better. And the first hike I went on, and I told the leader, I don't know how far I can do, how far I can hike. And it too was mountainous in its terrain that we hiked. And but my hemoglobin, if you know anything about hemoglobin, at that time was about 9 or 10, which is really low. And sure enough, going up the mountain, I became extremely short of breath. And you hate to have a medical problem in the midst of a bunch of people who don't know you, because it's almost always somebody wants to start doing CPR on you and that kind of thing. So I knew exactly what was going on. But my point is, I've come such a long ways, and I had this problem on that first hike after about a mile, and now we just did 5.5 miles yesterday, so I'm happy about that. Hi, Clarence. Hi, Arch. Guess what, buddy? Guess what, buddy? I got some bread for you. I got some bread for you, Archie. B? Don't eat the camera. Hey, B, it's your turn. Your mama needs bread, too. Okay, here's a little bit more for you. A little bit more for you, Arch. Don't tell your mom that I gave you, don't tell your Denise that I gave you bread, because you won't get bread at bedtime. I'll give you some more tonight. All right? I'm going to go work on the cottage. All done with treats, girly. Spring is here. Oh, it's so nice. I have real trouble with cold since I've been sick, that in the winter, for me to come out and work on a cottage is so hard, because I just freeze. But now it just feels glorious. I'm doing some stucco work now. I've torn into my cement stucco that I got for $2 a bag rather than $38 a bag, thanks to Habitat for Humanity. I don't know if my camera was set right. I'll do that again so you can see it. So I yesterday started doing my stucco, and there's good news and bad news, as they say. The good news is my plan was, I gotta turn some lights on in here, is I've done my drywalling, and the plan was to sand that down, do one more coat of joint compound, sand it down again, then paint it with this stuff in a can. It's called liquid lath. Here it is. It's already set up in this room. It's sort of pink. And so that is a lot of work. But from my stucco and I've done so far, I realize all I have to do is just sand this down. I don't need to put another coat of joint compound. I need to finish the very peak, which is really dangerous. So yesterday I started stuccoing. Now it's a little bit rough, and the hard part is, the bad news is it's on a ladder, and you need 2 hands free to carry your mortar up and put it on, and it's just so hard to do. It's a gorgeous spring day. The cherry trees have blossomed. With the warm weather, I've come outside. I'm doing a little carpentry work. I'm going to be doing stone on this wall in the summer in just about 2 months. And I'm starting to prep it. You need a really thick frame around your doors and windows for the stone to sit there and look okay. So that's what I'm doing today. I did these yesterday, and I'll go ahead and mount this top mantle, lintel is really what it is, above the door. And then I'm working on my second door down here today. I was trying to find someone to do my I really need a deck here because I'm on the road again in my truck, and this is a big part of Cottage building. I have traveled from British Columbia down to Seattle picking up stuff for the Cottage. Sometimes stuff is free or used, and that's cut down my cost a lot for this Cottage. Now, I'm going to remind you that I had a contractor do an estimate for the Cottage just out of, you know, a goodwill of his own heart, because he wasn't sure I could do this because of my health. And the full funded building of this Cottage by a contractor would have been $400,000. Well, today that sounds insane. It is a blustery, windy spring day outside, fairly warm. I'm going to show you what I'm doing in the shower. I've completed my stuccoing with waterproof mud that will protect. I'm going to be doing, as I said before, Moroccan Tadalak. Yeah, Tadalak. Stucco, lime stucco, and it will be waterproof if I do it correctly, but in case it's not, this will block water from going through the wall. Today, what I'm going to do is use my little jackhammer and clean up this area. I should have put paper over it or something before, and I just didn't, but now I got to clean it up. It's not a big deal because I'm going to be pouring concrete in here, but I just like to have a smooth surface to start with. So the plan is to clean this up, to cut off my fitting and get my drain in position with silicone. Beautiful May morning, warm, glorious. It's time for me to finish this episode, and it's been a long time since I published an episode because it's just been so I got to put my lath in. It's called a wick screen, this blue thing. Got to put it all over the side, and then I also need to go up and do some work. You can't get stone way up in this crack. So I'm going to put some wood up there to bring it down, and then some flashings for where the stone goes. And then I'm going to focus on this chimney. That's something that's terrified me because it leaked in the winter, and I'm going to get that done properly. It's really hard to work up there, but with the deck, I can put scaffolding here and do that. One good thing I like is that I designed this Cottage to have all this glass facing the lake, but also it faces southeast, the area to get the most sun. And I haven't had the heat on in quite a while, but the Cottage does stay warm. It stays warm all night long. In the morning, it's 60 degrees in here. When outside, it's more like 44, somewhere in there. So I think it's so well insulated, and we have passive solar heat. And you think, okay, it's going to get hot in the summer. Well, here we're only about 300 yards from Puget Sound, so we get wind off Puget Sound. It's rarely hot around here. Even if it's 80 degrees in Seattle, we're more like 68 or 70 here. So I don't worry about that. I got to build stairs still. I wanted to have the ceiling all done. I know we're close. I'm going to have to rent a lift for that. I'm trying not to panic, and my wife keeps saying, what is the urgency? My urgency has been that I don't want to, my cancer come back and me get deathly sick with this thing half done. That's been one of my panics. There's some good news last week that for the first time in history, my type of cancer, multiple myeloma, has been declared curable. As there are patients now who seem to be cured, patients like me who had been in remission for years, and they go off all their treatments and they follow them closely and their cancer never comes back. So that's encouraging. But I do appreciate you coming along with me.